All right, so today we're going beyond the surface level.
Hmm.
A lot of times when we talk about music, we talk about artists, we talk about inspiration, and we talk about all the things that we love about music, but
Right.
we rarely ever actually get into like what really shapes the music industry. You know.
Yeah.
So today, that's kind of what we're doing. We're going to be taking a deep dive
Mhm.
into a really fascinating Italian podcast called Oltre il Suono,
Okay.
which, for those of you like me who don't speak Italian, means beyond the sound.
Huh.
And it's really interesting because this podcast really brings up a lot of thought-provoking points about the music industry.
Yeah, and I love that they're kind of pulling back the curtain, on some of these
Ah,
forces that maybe we don't always think about when we're, bopping along to our favorite songs.
exactly. So one of the things that really stood out to me in this podcast, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do a deep dive on it,
Mm.
is that they really focus on how it's not just, inspiration that creates music. There's all these invisible forces at play
Hmm.
that really, really shape the industry.
Right. It's almost like
Yeah.
thinking about music, almost like romantically as this pure form of artistic inspiration, but there's a whole,
Yeah.
kind of framework around it that shapes how it comes into being.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like back in the day, I'm old enough to remember when the only way you really got music was to go to the store and buy like a vinyl record
Oh yeah, totally.
or a cassette tape or a CD.
Yeah,
And like, you bought that, you owned that music, right?
exactly. You possessed it.
Yeah, you possessed
It
it.
was yours.
And it was a product, right?
Right.
But now the way that most of us are consuming music is through streaming. It's like this on-demand service.
Yeah, it's almost become utility in a way.
Yeah, it's totally becoming utility. And so I think one of the things that Oltre il Suono really digs into is how has this shift from a product to a service
Right.
really impacted how music is made?
Hmm. Yeah.
And, I think the, sort of the elephant in the room, or the algorithm in the room, I should say,
Right.
is that this whole service model, which is very much driven by algorithms,
Totally.
like how much is that actually, maybe even stifling creativity?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? And Oltre il Suono, like they really dig into that, Are we getting shorter tracks because it's all about getting those stream counts?
Right.
Is music starting to sound the same because people are trying to, land on certain playlists?
Exactly.
And, it kind of makes you wonder, at what point does the business side of things start to outweigh the artistic side of things?
Yeah, it almost, it kind of creates this like recipe for musical homogenization.
Totally.
Right. Like it's almost like everybody's starting to sound the same
Yeah.
because that's what the algorithms want. So I'm curious, did they have anything positive to say about the current state of things?
Yeah, they did. They definitely weren't all doom and gloom. I think they definitely recognize that, technology has been a powerful tool for a lot of artists, especially independent artists. It's giving them a platform to reach, a global audience that they, may not have had before without, the backing of a big record label.
Right.
So I think there's that side of it too. It's not, all bad.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Mm.
But I did get the sense that, while they recognized that, and there were some benefits to these technological advancements, they were particularly concerned about the potential loss of authenticity in music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do they have to say about that? Like what exactly do they mean by that?
I think for them, a lot of it comes down to that pressure to conform to these expectations of algorithms and playlists and all of that. They feel like it can lead to music that feels a little bit, I don't know, kind of formulaic,
Yeah.
lacking in that raw emotion or individual expression that I think a lot of people really connect with on a deeper level.
Yeah.
You know-
It's almost like the difference between like a heartfelt letter that somebody wrote you versus
Okay.
like a mass-produced greeting card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. One feels personal and genuine, and the other one feels kind of well
Yeah.
manufactured.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a really good way to put it. So, I mean, where does this leave us, the listeners? I mean, do we just kind of sit back and watch as, like the soul gets squeezed out of music? Or, is there something more that we can do?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think Oltre, Suono, they really emphasize, the power that we have as listeners.
Okay.
It's almost like they're saying we have a responsibility to really engage with music thoughtfully. I think it's easy to kind of fall into the trap of passively consuming whatever gets served up to us on these playlists.
Right.
Um, but I think if we want to see, diverse music thrive,
Yeah.
music that's pushing boundaries, music that's coming from a genuine place, we have to be more proactive.
So it's really about being like a conscious consumer.
Totally. Yeah.
It's, not letting the algorithms dictate everything
Mm-hmm.
and actually going out and engaging with music on a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's almost like you're voting with your ears.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
supporting the kind of music that you want to see in the world.
Totally. I mean, I love that analogy of like voting with your ears.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really powerful takeaway. And I think that's where the real beyond the sound part happens, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just about the notes. It's about, the intentions behind it,
Totally.
the stories, the human connection,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. And this whole deep dive has made me really kind of, reevaluate my role as a listener.
Yeah.
What if instead of just passively consuming music, we all kind of became active participants in shaping its future?
Oh, I love that. I mean, that's real food for thought.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, if this conversation has resonated with you at all,
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend checking out Oltre il Suono.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I know it's in Italian, but hey,
It's a challenge.
it's a challenge. And what a better way to expand your horizons than to listen to a podcast in another language, right?
Yeah. I'm all about that. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we will catch you all next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
See ya. Yep.
Welcome to Oltre Suono podcast.